questioning a lot of things, questioning why and where and how and when and who and what is the practice. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Puja Singh. You can call me Puja. My pronouns are they, them. And I'm so excited to be bringing you part 3 of my 4-part series on practice. So today we're going to be talking about the mental aspect of practice and really the perseverance that it takes to sustain a practice over a period of time. So really it's about just continuing, just not giving up, just going, just doing it. So in, I believe the first video, I said, just do it. You know, when you're starting a practice, or maybe if you've, been having a little bit of some challenges, or you've kind of been falling off of your practice, but when you're either starting or coming back to a practice, you just have to do it. It's just a matter of going for it, sitting down, or, standing up, getting the things you need, getting your tools together, whatever it is that you need to do to start your practice, just getting the most basic things, not even like having everything that you need, but getting what you need and starting. And then it's just about doing that every single time, whether that's every day or however often you practice, however your practice is structured, whenever you need to be doing it. Can you just sit down and do it? Can you just get over the mental blocks that come up, the distractions, all of the things that want to take you out of your practice? And can you just get into it and just do it? Doesn't matter what the outcome is, doesn't matter if you had a great practice or a terrible practice, doesn't really matter so much if you necessarily accomplish the goals that you had for that particular practice. Sometimes it's about just doing it. Practice is not a straight path. It never will be. So there will be ebbs and flows throughout any practice, no matter what it is. So first of all, can you just go into it knowing this practice might not necessarily be better than my last one, or it might not be better than my practice from last week or last month or last year even, like there might be times where you kind of have a big leap, a big jump into like over a particular skill or into a new kind of territory of your practice, or maybe if you're working on a new kind of challenge or something, like sometimes that'll happen really quickly and easily and very naturally. Other times it will be a complete struggle, just like working on something over and over and over and over for a long time, and you still just can't quite get it in the way that you want to, or the way that you think that you should. So I think it's really important to just allow yourself space to be however you are in your practice. And the more you can get to know these ebbs and flows, the more ease you'll be able to find in moving through your practice. If you know that, you always get tired around 4 o'clock or something, like maybe that's not the time to do your practice then. Maybe you do it at a time when you're more able to, your mind is sharper, your body is in a better place, like whatever it is. Or, one particular kind of little journey within my own practice that I am constantly becoming more familiar with is that, again, when I'm talking about music, when I'm learning a new piece, I often go through these phases where it's like, I'm learning it, it's just new to me, I don't know it, it's unfamiliar, so I'm just kind of like struggling through figuring it out, slowly getting it, and then I start to get it a little more, it starts to become a little more familiar. I kind of know like generally how it's like, supposed to be or whatever, like what the melody is or what the harmonies are or what the arrangement is. Like I start to become more familiar with it. And then I start to, it gets better. I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to feel more comfortable with it. It feels like I'm starting to embody it more. And then I tend to go through a little phase where I like we'll start to forget it again, or I'll start to mess it up again, or it'll start to feel kind of unfamiliar in some way again. And it's kind of this like deepening in a way. Like I'm like, wait, I was just doing it perfectly fine, and now I'm like back to being confused or being, just like getting thrown off in some way. And then again, it kind of comes back up, and I start to get it again, and it starts to feel even more kind of settled into my system, into my mind, into my muscle memory. And then from there, it kind of, again, continues to ebb and flow throughout time. I can work on a piece for years and years and years, and there will constantly be ups and downs of feeling really good about it and feeling really kind of locked in and in it. And then other times where I'm just like, have I even learned this piece before? Like, why can't I do it? So again, figuring those things out in your own practice, paying attention to what your own ebbs and flows are, noticing ebbs and flows in different ways too, noticing ebbs and flows in your skills, in your moods, in your kind of routines. There's so many things that are interconnected that play into our practice and kind of inform it in different ways. So just continuing to use the practice to become more familiar with the practice itself, but also with yourself kind of outside of the practice. How do those practice things relate to other parts of your life? So along with that, also knowing, again, we talked about this in the last video, knowing your intentions, knowing your motivations, knowing the reasons that you're doing this practice or these practices, knowing kind of how the practice informs or relates to other parts of your life, knowing, questioning a lot of things, questioning why and where and how and when and who and what is the practice? Why do you do it? Who do you do it for? What does it do for you? What do you do for it? Do you know what distracts you? Do you know what inspires you? Do you know what the kind of, again, what the mental processes are? Do you know like what distractions come up? Do you know that there are certain triggers that cause you to be distracted in certain ways? Do you know that there are certain things that you can do that help like support you in your practice? Again, finding all of these little nuances, all of these little pieces of information, all of these pieces of feedback, using this to get to know yourself, know thyself, huge, important concept in, again, I think in any kind of practice. I think anyone who practices anything really is trying to get to know themselves and or others and or the universe in some bigger way. So as you're doing your practice, I really encourage you to pay attention to how it feels when you're in your mind, when you're really thinking about your practice a lot, which you have to do sometimes. You have to, when you're learning something new, when you're like figuring something out, when you're doing some kind of problem solving in your practice, like you need to be in the mental space, and that's good. But hopefully you're there intentionally. And then also noticing how it feels when you're like really in your body, when you're not in your mind, when you're just in the practice, when you're in, maybe you could call it some kind of flow state, and you're not really thinking about what you're doing. You're not analyzing everything. You're just doing it. You're being present in the practice. You're being present in your body. Like, notice how that feels. Notice what the actual sensations in your body are. Are there particular places in your body where you feel, more calm or more open, more spacious, more in tune, more aligned? And then are there places in your body where maybe you notice you tense up in a certain place either just generally, or maybe you tense up in a certain place in your body when you do a particular thing in your practice. So again, really paying attention. What does it feel like to be in your head? What does it feel like to be in your body? What does it feel like when maybe you're a little bit in both? Maybe there is some mental activity going on because you kind of need it in order to, you know, figure out where you're going in your practice or stay on track. But then also like still holding some awareness of your body. How do you feel in your body? How is the mental activity connecting with the physical activity and vice versa? So just do it. Just do the practice and be honest with yourself about your own capacity. If you have the capacity to, you know, kind of push yourself beyond what your current limits are, to be more present in your body, to be more intentional when you're using your thinking mind, to be more in tune with what's going on, where you've come from, where you're going, where you are. But then also on the days when it's hard, when you're not in your best form, when you're a little bit off, when you're distracted, also just being as honest in those moments too, and saying, okay, you know what? Today I'm feeling distracted, so I'm not going to do the most challenging thing in my practice. I'm going to find a part that's a little bit easier, that's a little bit less daunting, a little bit less stressful, a little bit more comfortable in some way, and work on that and use that. Like, again, I mentioned this before, work with yourself, work with your practice. Don't work against yourself. Don't work against your practice. And again, just do it. If you're feeling some kind of doubt about, should I be doing this? What should I be doing? How should I be doing it? Just start doing it, and it will probably start to kind of happen in the way that it needs to in that moment anyways. So keep on practicing. Let me know how your practice is going. Let me know if you have any thoughts or comments or questions or anything to add to that. I would love to hear from y'all. So keep practicing and hope to see y'all soon. Love you.